Hi, today we're going to look at cohesive signposts. So what is cohesion? Well, it's making things stick together, showing relationships between parts, having a good flow. But for our purposes, it's grammatical and lexical linking, which is to say using grammar and words to do the above. Alright, this is a page from the handout I have for you in Canvas. It's a table of cohesive signposts. It's organized into rows and columns. So in the columns, we've got, first of all, all the meanings, and then in the next column, coordinating conjunctions, which are used to make compound sentences or phrases, subordinating conjunctions, which are used to make complex sentences, conjunctive adverbs, which can make just a simple sentence or a compound sentence, and prepositions, which are used to add noun phrases to sentences. All right, if we look at down here, result and so, you can see that some of these words have more than one meaning. If so is used as a result, it means consequently or therefore. I did something, so something else happened. Maybe I didn't want it to, but it did. It's just a result. Purpose, I can use the same word for purpose, but then I really wanted it to happen. I did something, so something would happen. I wanted it to happen. Sometimes we just say so that. Okay. Sometimes the words are in more than one column also. If we look at the example row, we've got for example, can be a conjunctive adverb, or it can be a preposition, same for instance. A lot of the time words can be either subordinating conjunctions or prepositions. All right, on the third page, I show you how to use the punctuation with all of these different kinds of words. Mostly it's either a period or a comma or a semicolon. I just have colon in here so that you see the difference between a colon and a semicolon, and you probably won't be needing kumquats. All right, so let's look at some example sentences. For coordinating conjunctions. In the first one, he wanted to sleep, but he had to finish his project. We are combining two independent clauses. He wanted to sleep is a simple sentence. He had to finish his project is another simple sentence. So, in order to combine those with a coordinating conjunction, you need a comma and the word. On the other hand, he wanted to sleep but not to fail his project. What are we combining here? There's no comma, so they're not two simple sentences. We're combining this infinitive verb, to sleep, and this infinitive verb, not to fail. And that also has an object. All right? Because they're not two simple sentences, we don't have a comma. Okay, the next example, subordinating conjunctions. These are the ones that are used to combine independent clauses and dependent clauses, just like these two ladies up here. All right, in the first examples, these two, we begin the sentence with a subordinating conjunction. Although he wanted to sleep, comma, he had to finish his project. The comma is what separates the two different clauses. Because he had to finish his project, comma, he stayed awake. Now, if you put those words after the first independent clause, he had to finish his project, although he wanted to sleep. Okay? Although he wanted to sleep is the dependent clause, and we use although to separate both of those clauses, so we don't need a comma. He stayed awake because he had to finish his project. So again, we don't have a comma in that one either. Now with conjunctive adverbs, this is where we have the most complicated punctuation. This is the most common one. He wanted to sleep, semicolon, however, or any other conjunctive adverb, comma, he had to finish his project. You don't have to have a semicolon though. You can split it up into two sentences. And here you have two simple sentences. He wanted to sleep. However, comma, he had to finish his project. Now there's another way to do it, and this is a really sophisticated way to do it. His friends were sleeping, period. He, comma, however, comma, had to finish his project. Now what are we doing here? This time, however, is not so much contrasting his desire to sleep and having to finish the project. It's contrasting his friends and he. Okay, but let's look at this example. He wanted to sleep. He also had to finish his project. In this example, I did put a conjunctive adverb after the subject, after he, but I did not use two commas. Well, in this case, I'm really not contrasting two subjects. He wanted to sleep. He also had to finish his project. It's the same subject. I don't need the commas for this one. Complicated. All right, and then we have prepositions. Now, a preposition can come at the beginning of a sentence. Despite his desire to sleep, comma, he had to finish his project. So the comma comes before the independent clause. He had to finish his project. And this whole prepositional phrase is just the introduction for that. But I can also put it after the independent clause. He had to finish his project despite his desire to sleep. So if it goes after, I don't need a comma. It's a little bit like those other words where when it's in the middle, you don't need a comma. Okay. Oh, what do we have down here? He had to ignore desires such as sleep. He had to ignore desires, comma, such as sleep. Now both of these are actually correct. One of them is not a mistake, but the meaning is slightly different. In a non-restrictive clause, like this second one, you use a comma. He had to ignore desires, such as sleep. Any desires, sleep, eating chocolate, whatever, use a comma, because it could be any desire. In this one, it is restrictive. Only the desires that are like sleep. Eating chocolate is not like sleep, so there's no comma. They're both correct, but the meaning is a little bit different. All right, now you've got more resources to study these. I've got the handout of the big table that I just showed you. It's in Canvas. There are a lot of videos on Canvas that show you, not on Canvas, on YouTube, that show you how to use these different signposts. There are online writing centers such as OWL Purdue that have great resources. Purdue isn't the only one, but they might be the most famous. So if you want to find some of these things, some search terms that you can use are cohesive markers, transitional devices, connecting words or linking words, and all of those will get you what you're looking for. Remember, using these kinds of words well will really make your essays look a lot more sophisticated than if you weren't using them well. See you next time.